Responding to a hurricane or tropical storm is always complicated, but if one was to hit our area now, officials would not only have to focus on the disaster, but the pandemic as well.
Moving people out of a storm's path is a lot more complicated when you factor in social distancing and capacity limits. Philip Townsend looks into how early planning can make a big difference.
You've heard us tell you about hurricane preps like knowing your zone, where to go when the weather gets really bad and it's not safe to stay at home. But the pandemic, it's put us in new territory.
Well, evacuation and sheltering, both those activities are inherently activities where you have close congregate connection with other people.
That's why I'm talking to ODU research professor Joshua Baer about this brand new, lengthy, almost 700-page report. It's all about staying safe and recovering from a major storm during a pandemic. In the report, more than 36 recommendations for state and local governments. One of them is additional training for staff and volunteers at hurricane shelters, guidelines for infection control and hygiene. Another suggests expanding shelter capacity, but in a way that favors social distancing, identifying and planning for a greater number of smaller shelters to space people out, or use hotels where families can be sectioned off in rooms. And a recommendation that Baer thinks is a top priority, pre-planning for housing recovery. In other words, how do we rebuild areas wiped out by a storm? One of the suggestions is to establish a team of researchers focused on recovery-related equity. They can design a blueprint, helping us every step of the way when it comes to getting back on our feet after a storm. A major storm that, here in Hampton Roads, is inevitable.
But it's good to make those changes now under blue skies in anticipation for those storm events that are heading our way, likely to head our way.
For 13 News Now, I'm Philip Townsend.
If you want to check out all of the recommendations in the report, we've got a link for you in this story. Just go to 13newsnow.com.